Tomorrow might be the biggest game in our club's history. If not history, at least the last 20 years since we last went into the Champions League final. I still don't think I've kind of processed entirely that we are in the Champions League final again. It's been so long. It's very difficult off the back of an emotional week that we've had. Probably the most emotion I've ever felt, seen, anything you can imagine a football fan can feel when their team succeeds or even doesn't succeed. I have felt that in the last 10 days. Going back to beating Burnley on the Monday night 1-0, the scenes that unravelled the next day around the stadium, around the world, London, wherever we were, it was mental. It was crazy. And then to get our hands on the Premier League, to get our hands on that trophy, it was a very cathartic moment of the last 20 years. And we've still got one game to go. And it might actually be the biggest game of all. We're in the Champions League final. And the last time we got there, some of you would not have even been born. Okay, I'm fortunate. I've seen it. Sadly, we lost, but I have seen it. I've witnessed it. These games are few and far between, right? They don't happen that often. So you've got to enjoy it. But how are we all feeling about it? Because I feel a little bit strange. I thought I would feel anxiety. I thought I'd feel nervousness. I just feel happiness. Happiness because of what's happened in the Premier League. Happiness of what could happen. Again, it may not happen, but what could happen? And I've spent all season, and I really tried last year as well, but I've spent all season trying to treat things as don't worry about what may not happen, worry about what could happen, right? You draw a game, that could be a valuable point, right? You lose a game, okay, what can we learn from it? Again, within the season, there's frustrating moments, but I've tried to enjoy it, and I hate to use the phrase because it's been bastardized by corporations, but I've tried to enjoy the journey. I've tried to enjoy every step of the way. And here we are on the biggest step, the Champions League final. I really thought I'd feel more nervous than I do. I find this so strange that I don't feel nervous. And when you speak to rival fans, you speak to other people, and they're like, oh, well, you're going to get beat anyway. You're going to get a hiding. And I just think to myself, you don't watch Arsenal that closely, do you? Because whilst I respect PSG, we are the only team in Europe that can defend the way we can. And last season when we played them, we didn't have Big Gabby. Now we've got our first choice, hopefully, with Timber back. People are expecting us to get a hiding, and I don't think that's the case. We could lose. Of course we could lose. It's football. It's a final. It's 50-50, right? Anything can happen. It's the Champions League, right? The ball grazes someone's hand, and you're 1-0 down because of a penalty. Am I excited? Yes. Nervous? No. I'm not nervous. Should I be nervous? Should we be nervous? Maybe you are nervous. Maybe I'm just floating from the last few weeks. But I just feel positive towards it. I feel good. I feel like the team's in a good place. The team are free. And I never thought I would see the day where I'm going into a Champions League final feeling like this. And I remember the first time we went in, the league was gone. We'd just scraped top 4. We had a Champions League final. I really wanted to give Highbury the Champions League. I wanted that stadium to have that Champions League. And we didn't do it. And we've not been back to the table since. Couple of semi-finals. Last year, you could argue we could have got through to the final. This year, I don't think there's any doubt we deserve to be in the final. Why don't I feel more nervous? Maybe it will come tomorrow. Maybe that full anxiety comes tomorrow. But I feel okay. And I've been hesitant to use the term free hit because it's a Champions League final. It could be another 20 years until we make it again. We shouldn't consider this to be a free hit. There's still a job to be done, but I just back the team to be able to do it. I just back us. Especially now we've landed the Premier League. That's on the table. The Premier League trophy is there. It's plonked in front of us for all of us to see, for all of the world to see. The team that couldn't get the job done got the job done. So why is this not the time we get the job done in the Champions League? And you got to remember as well, everything that's kind of been thrown at us has also been thrown at PSG before in the past. They were the perennial losers in the Champions League, right? They'd get to the semi-finals. They lost a final or two. They're not going to be able to get it done. They brought in the superstars. They had Mbappe, Neymar, Messi. They couldn't get the job done until they got the job done. And they got the job done last season. Why can't that be us? Before the season started, I was thinking we should be good value to get to the semi-final of the Champions League. We got there last year. We've strengthened the squad. We're probably one of the two best teams in the Premier League. If the draw goes your way, which it did, there's no reason we should not get to the semi-final. And we did it. The way that draw opened up as well, we were on the side of the draw that was slightly more favourable. Okay. That's just a fact. I know people will say, oh, you had the easiest run ever. There's no easy games in the Champions League. Let's not be silly. But if you were going to choose a side of the draw to be on, it would have been that side. And we were there. But you still have to win, right? You still have to beat your opposition. And we did that. And we did it with relatively no fuss, okay, in the knockouts. Well, the group stage was just a slam dunk, right? 8 from 8. Ironically, the most we conceded was to Kairat Almaty in the dead rubber in the last fixture. Defensively, we've been resolute in the Champions League, and even from an attacking perspective, we've been pretty impressive. When that draw opened up, I thought, final minimum. The final has to be the minimum objective for this team, knowing the squad as well that we've put together. So I knew we could rotate, and we did. We've used the squad to its fullest ability. We've rotated where we've needed to. And we've got to the Champions League final. And it's a strange feeling as well, because I think in previous years, the scars of Arsene Wenger's record in the Champions League, which, if we're being honest, was poor. Okay? One final. He has a poor record in that competition. For the teams we've had over the years as well. For the teams we've had, we had a poor record. But this is our third season in the Champions League under Arteta after, 4 or 5 years out of the Champions League. Quarter-final, knocked out by Bayern Munich. Very good Bayern Munich team. Last year we got to the semi-finals, knocked out by the eventual winners PSG. Again, no shame in that whatsoever. And also Donnarumma had a blinder to make sure that they got to the final. And this year we've got to the final. That's a good record for someone who had never managed in the Champions League before. So I don't think there's any concerns on our side. No nerves, no anxiety. I feel good. Okay? What does this Arsenal team do? They win. They win. And I think it's important as well to remember we spent years just trying to scrape into the top 4, to get into the competition, to barely make it out of the group stage and get knocked out in the last 16. So there's been a complete shift in dynamic there. And I do think we're quite heavily respected in Europe. I think the opposition teams, the managers, the media in Europe, they all respect Arsenal a lot more than we do in-house in our own country. And again, I think a lot of that stems from not getting the Premier League over the line in the last 3 years until this season. And now we're here, 1 game away from being the kings of Europe. And when you look back on the Champions League this season for us, I don't even think we've had a particularly standout moment. Do you know the year that Liverpool won it, Istanbul, they had that Gerrard moment against Olympiacos where you kind of like look to your mate and be like, Could be our year. Could be our year. We've just been great. Every game we've played well. Even the knockout ties, which were draws or a late minute winner. That's what European football is, right? You don't tend to blow the opposition away. They're tough games, especially away from home. You've got to be smart. You've got to be wily. We've been all of these things. All of the things that historically we would not attribute to Arsenal. We've been all of those things. We've been smart. We've been wily. We've outsmarted the opposition. Again, similar to how we've landed the Premier League as well. It's about the collective for us. If we win the Champions League, it will be because of what the team did as a whole. If PSG are going to win it, again, PSG are an unbelievable team, probably the best team in Europe. If we're being honest, it's about like how they play, the attacking talent they have. But we've got a collective. We have a team. We have a unit. Raya, Saliba, Big Gabby, Declan Rice. I back us to control a game, to control emotions against anyone. I don't think there's anyone we should be fearful of. And as a fan base as well, we're going into this with such positivity, high energy. I think I mentioned the phrase earlier, free hit or a bonus earlier on, but it's a Champions League final, right? It's not a free hit. We never know when we're going to come back. The team need to be locked into it. But as fans, we need to be locked into it as well, right? But I don't mean from an anxious point of view. We just need to feel it. We need to enjoy it. Because if you said to us 20 years ago, this is going to be the last one for 20 years, I think we all would have, even in defeat, I think we all would have enjoyed it a little bit more. Now, that is going to be one of the greatest Arsenal teams and eras that we ever saw way back then from 2004, 2006. This is up there. This is an unbelievable group. So we need to enjoy this as we go along. We need to enjoy these moments that we have. And I think that really taps into me not having anxiety about this game at this moment. I'm sure when I wake up tomorrow, and my thoughts have been circulating a little bit more over the last day or so, but Champions League final, let's have it. Teams would do anything to be in our position. The teams and the fans who have mocked us would want to be us, okay? The whole world is watching. Let's make them watch. Let's make them watch us lift that trophy. Because other than Atletico Madrid, I think we're the biggest team in Europe to never get our hands on this trophy. And it is a bit of a blemish on our club's history to not have lifted that trophy up beforehand. And this is as good an opportunity as we're ever going to have with this team that we've got, with this squad that we've got, the unity, like the fan base is unified. As an Arsenal fan, you will know over the last 20, 25 years, it's been difficult to have unity within the fan base. But I don't think as Arsenal fans we should have any fear of the opposition, fear of ourselves, fear of the outcome. If you lose, you lose, okay? We've still won the Premier League. And I know people will struggle to kind of digest that. You don't just want to throw away a Champions League final, but we have just won the Premier League. And like that was the one that I really wanted this season. I feel like the knock-on effects of us not winning the Premier League this season would be almost catastrophic, because I think then people internally perhaps would start thinking, is that the man for the job? Are those the players for the job? Can they manage these occasions? They've proven they can. We had a 5-game mini shootout at the back end of the season where we could not lose a game, and we did not lose a game. That is as high pressure as it gets for a team that have finished second 3 years in a row. That is high pressure, and this team came through it. And if we're honest, the team came through it relative ease. I know there's a few 1-0 wins in there, but be hard pressed to say that the opposition deserved anything from those games either. Like, we managed it, no fuss. So I don't think there's any need for us to be fearful for this one. PSG are a great side. We're a great side. Okay. Different qualities, yes. Exceptional attack for PSG, exceptional defence for Arsenal. Do we need all of our players to have a great collective performance and our big players to really shine? Yes, that's why you pay your big players the big money. This is the environment they should thrive in. I think we've demonstrated the resilience as well. Coming through the last few seasons, we've suffered, as Arteta said when he joined his first press conference, we will suffer, and we have suffered. We've suffered in some big moments, in title races that went to the last day and it didn't materialise, semi-finals of competitions. We lost a final earlier this season in the Carabao Cup. But this team is resilient, and they've shown that in the last few weeks, and their ability to bounce back and get the job done should be heralded, I think, because I don't remember a team ever having so much media attention, rival fans' attention as this one. Okay, everyone was piling in, and they navigated through those waters. I think just as I close out here as well, we can be excited for the future, right? We've got an unbelievable manager. We've got an unbelievable group of players, all hitting their prime, with a couple of youngsters sprinkled in. Whatever the outcome, I know this is not going to be our last Champions League final. I really don't think we're going to be waiting 20 years again with this manager or with this group. I want to win this trophy. Okay, I need to win this trophy because it is the blip on our record. We should have won this trophy beforehand. I think this is as good an opportunity as we're ever going to get. I want this trophy, you want this trophy. Hopefully we can get this Champions League trophy. I'll see you after the final. Come on the Arsenal.